Hello everyone, it is your boy Winster and I am back at it again with another video. Hope everyone watching this video is having an amazing day. But today I have a locals round 1 feature match. We have Ryzeal Mitsurugi on the left and we got Fiendsmith Chimera on the right. Remember guys, in the comment section, please be respectful. These are people and humans. They are learning and having fun. I'd really appreciate if you guys could be respectful. But it does look like our Mitsurugi Ryzeal player is going to take the lead here. I saw Droll and Called by the Grave in their hand, but I didn't see any playable cards, or he just ends up passing for turn. I personally would have set the Called by the Grave, considering what it could do and what it could mean for a couple decks. But with that being said, he just passes turn. And then our Fiendsmith Chimera player draws for turn. And then normal summons the Mirror Sword Knight. And then activates the effect. What this card is going to do, it's going to special summon a monster from the deck that mentions Chimera Fusion. The usual targets are going to be Gazelle, the King of Mythical Claws, and then Big Wing Berfelment. Big Wing Berfelment is going to be a bottleneck of the combo because once that card is summoned and its effect is activated, it go ahead and locks you for the turn for fusion summons. Not to say that it's a bad target, but it's not the optimal one, right? Usually want to do that after you already went into like a couple of extra deck monsters that aren't fusions. And Gazelle would have just searched out a monster that mentions Chimera Fusion. But it is met with a Ash Blossom. And then our opponent will not be able to resolve that effect. Accidentally shows that he has Azarun statue on the field. Sets one. And then sets a third and then passes for turn. If you're the Mitsurugi Ryzeal player here, you are definitely super happy because you have so many one-card starters. You have Ice, you have Bonfire, you have EXT, Sword to a capacity if your opponent doesn't have any hand traps. But it does look like he did not draw a card that is playable. This is the worst, right? Because like you start the turn, you brick, and then your opponent doesn't kill you because you stop them, and then they pass, and then you brick again, and it just sucks. But he managed to set one card face down. Hopefully it is that Called by the Grave and just not another Imperm. It wouldn't make sense if he said Imperm because you could just activate that from the hand. But our opponent top stick a Cornfield Kotal. Yeah, you definitely need a Called by the Grave this. But what it's going to end up doing, it's going to go ahead and search out a monster that mentions Chimera Fusion. Usual targets are like Mirror Sword Knight, Gazelle. You never really want to search out Big Wing Berfelment off of this. You can, but it's not optimal because you can't summon the guy. So opponent takes the time to read the card, as you always should, guys. But of course, it is going to be met with a Called by the Grave. In hindsight as well, that card does come up, right? Because you could go ahead and banish it to negate a card that targets. So definitely good and a good way to remove that. So our opponent just passes. Does not have any other playable card. Yeah, the option here is to activate Azarun statue. And remember guys, Azarun statue, what it does, it stops a summon that does not activate a chain. Example like Synchro Summon, a Link Summon, anything like that. Fenrir, also Diabell Star, because those monsters' effects, they do not activate a chain. This could also stop Ryzeal cards, which is crazy. But it does look like the Bonfire does resolve and searches out an EXT Ryzeal. This is all the Mitsurugi player needed, right? Because he needed one start, and Bonfire is one of those 9, right? Ice, 3 copies of Ice, 3 copies of EXT, and then 3 copies of Bonfire. Searches out the EXT, and what it's going to do, it's going to go ahead and just summon itself. And then it is going to send out the Aggie. That aggregator definitely is the right target here. That way you could just stop the Azarun statue. Not only that, but you could also chain block. So your opponent can't like Ash Blossom the EXT Ryzeal. So here they just he's just explaining what the card does. Hopefully those set cards are not like any. Oh my god, never mind. It is met with a infinite impermanence. And it looks like our opponent might have something to this. Oh, okay, never mind. I thought for a second, I'm like, you have the cross out. You're absolutely insane. So it doesn't look like the Mitsurugi player is going to have any other plays. He's just reading the Azurune statue, even though it's negated. Oh, and be careful with the imperm column. Be careful with the imperm column. Okay, so I see his hand. He has the Mitsurugi ritual in his hand, and he has Kusanagi, and this is why I think Kusanagi's a brick, because that thing does not do anything for you. You have to have already set things up in place. Oh my god, that scared me for a second. Okay, so he's gonna go ahead and normal summon Kusanagi, does absolutely nothing. And the threat of the Azurune statue is gone because it's negated. So he's going to go ahead and overlay here. Ooh! And, well, the thing is that even though he has cross, he can't really do much, right? Because, example, right? Cross will be able to negate that Veiler, but then dual drive won't be able to actually activate. Because it won't be able to detach the two. So even though it is a good idea, he didn't even have a monster to be actually equipped to the dual drive. So man, I did not know that the Chimera deck actually had any kind of hand traps. I don't remember playing that many hand traps, but goes straight into battle phase, shuffles the deck because he did end up searching, knocks out the Azurune statue, which is really, really good. And at this point, you have a monster negate every single, at least turn with the cross. And the Chimera Fiendsmith deck relies so much on the monsters resolving. Yeah, they have like a very powerful spell with Chimera Fusion or Tract, which isn't too scary, but yeah, this deck plays a lot of hand traps, so you probably be able to stop those deck. And our opponent just draws for turn and doesn't have any playable cards. You are feeling great if you're the Ryzeal Mitsurugi player, because your opponent just passed and didn't even do anything, right? He just drew for turn, and he ends up scooping it up here. As our players are siding, I wanted to give a shout out to my YouTube channel members as always. Thank you so much for your guys' support. Shout out to Quick, shout out to Thomas, shout out to Wimey, shout out to Gabby, shout out to Jared, Staying Young, Tony, Leo, and Devin. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. For those who are curious on what comes with being a channel member, you guys get early access to all full videos. On top of that, you guys get to get a shout out in every single full video. You guys could also request matches with me on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, Master Duel at a time that best works for us. Please, guys, we are getting so close to hitting 5,000 subscribers. I'd really appreciate if you guys could subscribe for me. It takes less than a minute. Also, hit that notification bell. That way you guys could stay up to date with all the content that does drop on this channel. But let's get right back to the game. Okay, going into game 2. Game 1 was a very simplified game state. All right, both players ended up getting combo pieces that they usually don't want to see in their opening hand, and just not enough starters. And when they did see a starter, it was just like met with a hand trap, which is super freaking funny. So it does look like our Chimera Fiendsmith player is going to go ahead and start us off. And the Mitsurugi in the draw phase is going to go ahead and activate Lancia. Lancia really doesn't do anything to this deck, because when they do want to banish something, it's during their opponent's turn. For example, they get out Chimera, the King of Phantom Beast, and then that ends up going to the graveyard, and then they bring out Berfelmet, the King of Phantom Beast, and then during your opponent's turn, you could go ahead and banish Chimera to special summon a Fiend, which is usually going to be like Barrier Statue, the dark one, because it's a Fiend. And then they use Berfelmet to banish itself as cost, which they both do, and then special summon a Fiend, Beast, or an Illusion monster from the banish zone, which you could just go ahead and bring back the Chimera. And then because you control the Chimera, the Mirror Sword Knight effects in the grave could activate, which negate a monster effect, and then the Cornfield Kotal protects targeting. So it really doesn't do much here. But our Fiendsmith Chimera is going to go ahead and start off his turn with activating Cornfield Kotal, searching the Mirror Sword Knight. And then he's going to go ahead and commit his normal summon to Gazelle, which is the better option than like Big Wing Berfelmet. Because Big Wing Berfelmet, you know, when he activates his effect to search the 2, which is a busted effect, just, you know, is definitely an area where it could bottleneck, because yeah, you get locked into fusions, but you do search too. So usually you want to go into your other engine, albeit, you know, Fiendsmith, because they go into links, but it could be met with Ash. And then on the normal summon of Gazelle, he's going to go ahead and search. And then at the resolution, he's going to go ahead and activate Chimera Fusion, fusion summoning the Mirror Sword Knight and the Gazelle into Baphomet, the King of Phantom Beasts. I always forget these two names, but they're like freaking interchangeable at this point. And then Gazelle is going to go ahead and proc and search out an illusion monster, which is usually going to be, you know, Diabellstar, the one that is like anti-spell fragrance, right? Anytime cards need to be set before they're activated. And she could go ahead and pop one. And then Big Baphomet's going to go ahead and send an illusion beast or fiend to the graveyard. Usually going to be Tau. I don't know exactly what is in his hand, so I don't know how he's actually going to do it. But under my assumption, I'm going to go ahead and assume he's going to go ahead and go Gazelle, Chainlink 1, and then Baphomet, Chainlink 2 to dump. But how exactly he's going to sequence it, I don't know. But usually the combo is you search out Diabell, or you search out a Princess Magician, and then you send Diabell, and then that way you could go ahead and continue to combo off. And of course, you're going to add the Chimera Fusion back to the hand, but yeah, it just really depends on how he's actually going to do it. Our opponent just going through the graveyard, going through his hand to see what exactly is going to be the best route here. Again, it's all about patience and taking your time. Remember, this is just like locals. There's nothing really at stake here other than your pride. But the way game one went, it's not the best look, right? Like, you just draw so many bricks. But I don't think that Lancia is really going to have too much effect here. And I don't think this deck is playing like Bestials. I don't think you really want to see him. Not that they'll do bad against like Ryzeal, but I just don't think they'll do like the best. But we're going to go ahead and continue to search out our cards. It does look like he's playing like a pretty thick build, maybe like 55 to like maybe 50 cards. That's a lot of cards. So they're just discussing on what exactly is happening here. And I'm assuming here he's going to go ahead and add that Apprentice Magician. If he doesn't add Apprentice Magician, okay, he adds Diabellstar, or Diabells. And then he's going to go ahead and dump. And then what is he going to dump here? You have to dump like Tau, right? I'm eager as much as you guys are. I'm trying to figure out what he's dumping. Okay, yeah. So he is going that route. So he's going to go ahead and dump the barrier statue. That doesn't do too bad against Mitsurugi, because all the Mitsurugi cards are like dark. So it doesn't really get stop that part, but it does stop the Ryzeal portion because they're like fire, or they're light monsters. So he's going to go ahead and set 2. And okay, I did not expect this, guys. I did not expect this. So he's going to go ahead and pass turn. I'm just curious on how exactly is he going to get Chimera into the graveyard to be able to even use that card. But okay, we're going to go ahead and pass turn. Our opponent just wants to read the card one more time just to make sure we know exactly what it does. It doesn't really do too much here because it's on the fusion summon when it could dump, and then it has to be in the graveyard to activate that other effect. So our opponent just reading the cards, reading everything. And then here he's just explaining what exactly he could do. Like I said, he could banish itself as cost and then special summon another Beast Fiend or Illusion. So our Ryzeal Mitsurugi is going to start with Bonfire, and it is going to be met with an Ash. I don't know if that's like really the best idea, because you want to have them commit, right? But if you have like a plethora of hand traps in your hand, I don't see a reason why not to, right? So if you have like Imperm, I'm sure one of those set cards is an Imperm, or even a Veiler, right? You'll be able to activate anything here, but it does look like he might have an option, right? Because if he wastes the Ash on the Bonfire, our opponent is just going to go ahead and activate the Prayer, so that must mean that they have another level 4, right? Because with this build, you have to commit that normal summon, usually for the Mitsurugi cards, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to go ahead and activate Saji, Saji is going to activate and search a Mitsurugi Speller Trap, but considering that Chimera is treated as Chimera the King of Mythical Beasts, Berfelment that is, you could go ahead and activate the Mirror Sword Knight on the field. Banish it as cost and negate a monster effect on the field specifically. So unfortunately, he's going to go ahead and set one and pass. Man, the Mitsurugi player just cannot catch a break. He is just not drawing any other starters. I personally would have start with the prayers first, because that might have been ashed. But again, hindsight is 2020. Oh, wow. So it looks like our Fiendsmith Chimera player ends up top decking a Engraver. Wow, what a crazy top deck. He's going to go ahead and search out the Tract. You guys know the vibes here, right? He's going to go ahead and activate Tract. Tract, he should be searching out the Lari. Lari effect, his special summon itself. Just send that thing to the freaking graveyard and then link off into Requiem. But maybe our Mitsurugi Ryzeal player may have something here. Okay, he's going to go ahead and take a look into the graveyard, see what options he has. Right now, we do know that he has the Diabel, and then he also has a Chimera Fusion. Chimera Fusion kind of could serve as a defensive card as well, because let's say if they like target something with like Valor or like Imperm, you could go and just activate Chimera Fusion, and then you could just dodge targeting, which is freaking crazy. So we're just thinking exactly. I'm sure he's just not going right into Requiem, honestly. But yeah, we're going to go right into Requiem, link off that Lari Requiem effect. Is going to go ahead and summon the Lacrima. Lacrima is just going to be another freaking combo piece, and is going to either send the Trap or the Engraver. I would personally send the Trap if you did inside it out, because you definitely need it. And activate effective Lacrima, and plus you already have Engraver in the graveyard, so like there's not really much to send here, you know. And he sends another copy of Fiendsmith Engraver, so he must have sided it out. It does look like we're going to activate Engraver effect, shuffle back the Lari, and then the Engraver is going to go ahead and summon itself. Or not the... Yeah, the Engraver is going to summon itself and activate the Rec to send off. Oh, okay. I did not expect that. I thought he was going to equip it to the Lacrima. To send, or to, you know, contact fuse into Necroquip. But we're going to go ahead and activate Ritual Prayers, Mitsurugi Prayers. And he's just going to explain here, right? He's going to go ahead and tribute off the monster that was targeted. And because that card is tributed, you're also going to get effect on that, on the resolution, which is just absolutely crazy. So we're going to go ahead and search the monster, and then we're going to be able to Chainlink 1, or excuse me, not Chainlink 1, it's just like effect 1, right? We're going to go ahead and summon that card out, and then he's going to go ahead and activate, and then search out a Mitsurugi Speller Trap. Here, you should be able to add back or add a ritual. There's no real reason to like add anything else. The trap card really isn't going to do much, but I'm going to be honest. The Fiendsmith Chimera player has just so much control right now, right? Because the other cards in the opponent's hand, if he doesn't have a nib, it might be game over here. And then we're going to activate Triple Tactics Talons. Wait a minute. No, that was not in the Imperm column, right? I don't think so, because I think the Imperm column was the furthest left. And then we're going to go ahead and activate Talons, and then we're going to go ahead and send back a card. But this should be GG's, especially with that Saji in defense mode, because he's just going to go ahead and go into sequence, and then sequence effect should just go and just go burr here, right? He's going to go in uninterrupted, unless he has a Nibiru, right? And then sequence effect is going to go ahead and shuffle the 3. And then he's going to go ahead and go right into the Desiree. Yep. And then he should be able to link these two off and go into Agnum Day. And then because Desiree effect, you could go ahead and just send the Saji. I can't remember how much attack points the freaking Berfelment monster has. I can't remember off the top. I think it's like 28, right? But if it is, then that should be game. But he's going to go ahead and link it off into Agnum Day. Agnum Day is going to activate. And then, he activates Desiree, yep. And like I said, he's going to shuffle back the wreck. And then he's going to go ahead and... Or the other Fiendsmith Engravers, he had 2. He's going to equip both. And then this should be game. Okay, he realizes that it is game. And they're going to go ahead to go into game 3. The most important game of them all. Game 3. So here, our Mitsurugi Ryzeal player should end up starting. And this is I guess not the first time, right? Because he technically won the die roll. We're going to go ahead and start us off. And then we're going to activate Pressure Planet Ryzeal. I ended up playing this guy later on in the night in I think it was round 4. I ended up playing him, or round 3. And I was taken back when he activated Ryzeal, guys. I was like, what? What is going on? But I had the Mulchummies in our match, and he had to draw, and then he kind of did a little bit of a misplay, but that's another story. He's going to go ahead and search out the Unicorn, special out the Unicorn, and you should be able to activate the Unicorn effect to search out the Birth. I think it's pretty obvious here on what you end up doing, right? Search out the Birth. Birth searches out... okay. He's going to take a different route. He's going to go ahead and special summon this thing, which is not going to get his effect. I guess he has a normal summon in the hand, right? Yeah, okay. That would make the most sense, right? He has something normal to normal summon like Saji. And then from there, he should be able to exceed into dual drive and then go from there. And we're just seeing if our opponent is going to go ahead and waste their hand traps, if any, on the Saji to prevent it from resolving, right? Oh, Kusanagi! Oh my God, this brick of a card. This. See, guys, this is personally this is why I don't play Kusanagi. Man, that card's a freaking brick. Unfortunately, he had to commit that normal summon there, and then go right into dual drive. And then our opponent's going to go ahead and activate Infinite Impermanence. Oh, yeah, that sucks. You need a dual drive to resolve, right? If you don't have anything else. And sets 2 cards. Oh, no. Okay, and just passes turn. But at least you have the pressure of the Unicorn, right? Because you can get rid of very important cards. Because you play the Fiendsmith Chimera, your extra deck is looking mighty thick. And there's not a lot of space for multiple copies of cards, for example Requiem or Desiree or stuff like that. So the Unicorn is going to apply some sort of pressure here. But our opponent ends up drawing for turn, ends up starting off with a Cornfield Kotal. And then on resolution, he should be able to go into that extra deck and just rip a card. And banishing face down, man, that stuff is just no joke. There's literally no way to bring those cards back. I'm sure that there is, but as far as I know, there's no way to bring any of those cards back. So he ends up searching out his card, and then he's going to activate Unicorn effect here. What are the options, right? I wish I could see it. But from this angle, I really can't. I would personally go for maybe the Desiree. Or maybe even go for the Requiem, right? But you do have those other options, right? You got the Chimera, which should technically be a one of Berfelment, and the normal Chimera. I might have ripped one of those off, but the Fiendsmith stuff is just such a big threat, right? That you have to banish them. So he ends up banishing the Requiem here. Good choice. Desiree or that are probably the better options. Now he doesn't have that engine to go into. Well, I guess he does, but it's not as consistent. Because the big threat there is always ending on Desiree. You could still go into options what's his face, Wave King Caesar. But We're gonna go ahead and continue summon out the Mirror Sword Knight, activate the effect. So we're like committing this, right? So because he got rid of it, he's probably thinking like, well, like I don't think it's the best option to go into the Fiendsmith line. Not that like it's an awful option, but it's not really gonna be super fruitful. So we're gonna go ahead and normal summon out that guy, and then activate effect, tribute it, summon the Big Wing Berfelment. We're gonna go ahead and try to resolve this. And activates the infinite impermanence on the Big Wing Berfelment. I'm telling you guys, it like bottlenecks so hard there. It sucks when that activates, or when that gets like negated. So our opponent just checking out what options we have now. Man, it just sucks. I hate when that would happen, guys. When I was playing this deck. Oh no, he activated Talons in the middle, and the opponent calls it out. Now, I do want to say this, guys. I did watch the record. He ended up playing it in the middle column. Unfortunately, things like that happen, right? There was just like a whole debacle there that we had to like rewatch the replay and check things out. And, you know, it happens. We're human. And they were both good sports about it. But those types of things happen. So I just had to like fast forward to a point where, you know, the judge just wasn't looming over everyone and stuff like that. But just fast forward, right? Like our opponent is going to go ahead and still summon out, get to some sort of board. Our opponent, you know, has the dual drive and the unicorn still. So they're still looking, you know, pretty good here. So our opponent just activated Chimera Fusion, summoned the Berfelment out, sending out the Necro Gardener, I think. But what it's going to do, it's just going to banish itself, and then special summon the Captain Gold, which is just a light fiend. And that's the most important part about it. But we're going to go ahead and summon that card out. We have to remember the Imperm column this time. Oh my god, guys. And then we're gonna go ahead and summon, what's his name, a Dusted Gold or Dark Gold? I can't remember the card's name off the top of my head. And we're gonna go ahead and summon it out. Are we gonna activate Chimera Fusion to add it back? We might have done that already. I honestly can't tell. And we're gonna go through our extra deck, see exactly what we are trying to go for here. Okay, so I'm assuming he activated the Chimera Fusion already, and that's why he's not adding it back. Unless he proves me wrong here and adds it back. Okay, going through our options. See, this is one of the most stressful times when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh, guys. Like, making sure that you make that right choice, it's so crucial. Okay, so he didn't activate that effect yet. To add it back, so he's adding it back to the hand, and then here we're just going right into our options, and it looks like we might want to go for a pretty big play here and maybe go for the Illusion Beast. Now that Illusion Beast is just freaking crazy, and like I mentioned earlier, he could definitely like OTK. And what he ends up doing, right, like he could attack multiple times up to the illusion monsters that he used for his fusion summon. And when that thing battles something, during the battle phase specifically, his effect will activate and reduce the attack of whatever monster he battles to 0. And then after that, it makes that monster's effect, or it negates that monster's effect permanently. And because he's an illusion monster, it can't be destroyed by battle. And so then that card is just zeroed out, and because he could swing multiple times, he could go ahead and just still attack into it 0, 0, 0, and then whatever left, you could go ahead and just swing with that monster. But it does look like there's a little bit of confusion here, and they end up calling a judge, one of our local tiers. His name's Mike. Really cool guy, super down to earth, and they're just getting clarification on this. Now, always remember, guys, if you feel like maybe something's off, if you feel like maybe this doesn't really make too much sense, it's perfectly fine to call a judge. That is what they're there for. They're there to make sure that things resolve properly, things activate properly, and things that can be activated are attempted to be activated, right? So never feel the fear of don't call a judge. You're not calling a judge. If your opponent ever makes you feel like that, I would definitely call a judge. But yes, here they're asking for the effect. Hey, can this add itself back to the hand after he has already activated its effect? Or he's asking if he could activate it multiple times. Excuse me. Yes, the answer yes. That fusion effect is not once per turn at all, which is so super insane because usually cards like this that are like archetype specific are once per turn. So it's like really rare when cards that aren't are not once per turn. So we're gonna go ahead and summon the Illusion Beast. This guy's beefy. He's 3100 attack. It's so freaking good. And even in situations where you're behind, you could just swing into something that maybe is bigger than you, and yeah, you'll take damage, but you'll make that monster's effect 0, and then, you know, you could just swing it into it again. Because usually you're just going to have one extra attack on it. So here, they're just explaining everything. All right, Dual Drive effect is activating, or I guess not activating, but it's applying because it just reduces everything by 200. But it doesn't really matter because he can't be destroyed by battle or the monsters that battle each other with the Illusion Beast. He's going to go ahead and make his attack 0, and then he's just going to just attack into it. And here he's just explaining, yeah. They asked if it's during the battle damage step, in which it is. His effect does activate during the damage step. I know damage step effects are just literally the worst kind of effects. And I hate explaining them, and it sucks that the only way to like really stop effects like that are things that activate or negate the activation of cards, because those could activate it. They're fast enough. And you know, it's hard to really explain those types of things, but yeah, so what he's going to do, he's going to swing into the Dual Drive. Dual Drive is still smaller than it because Dual Drive has 27 right now, and the Big Wing Birth one has, what, 29? I think it's a 3100 attack. So that should be, what, 27, 9, that should be 200. Because he's he's just explaining, he's just gating the monster, and then he should be attacking into this, and then it's going to be zeroed out, and then its effects are permanently negated, and then he's going to swing into the Unicorn, and then he's just doing it again. Yeah, now because Dual Drive's effects are negated, Chimera is back to his original attack. And then he's going to go ahead and swing with the Dusted Gold and now destroy the monster. And he's just going to go ahead and take all that damage. And it's not looking too good. He's going to go ahead and pass turn with still one set, maybe an infinite impermanence. But we are coming to the end here, guys. Our Chimera player is going to end up taking this one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if there's any way to improve. I'm still getting used to recording and stuff, so if there's any tips or anything you guys would like to see a little bit better, please be sure to leave it in the comment section. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day. Thank you again for watching. Appreciate everyone.